Welcome to Mindful Drawing. I'm Robert, and I'll be your guide on this meditative practice that enters a space of mindfulness through the act of drawing. We'll jump right in this week. It's a rainy spring day. We had a warm weekend, a little chilling off, but not too much, bringing with it those replenishing, washing clean, a pitter-patter of drops on the sidewalk, on the street, the sound of tires kicking up, a little bit of spray. We'll use that as our insertion into this space of drawing and mindfulness. The thoughts, the vision or image guiding us to begin, just those individual drops plunging into a small puddle on the asphalt or the ground, marking their moment of collision, of interaction, a still, slow space that then ripples outwards, gradually fading into the larger puddle. Over time, that pattern of interference of waves can become a territory for us to explore, to wander through, and to find new form, new shapes, space and time for us to enter a territory made by the collection of things over an expanse, an area of ground, a duration of time, collecting to guide our eye, to guide our hand, to bring forward something into our imagination that we might create with a space of mindfulness that we create for ourselves. Go ahead and grab your paper, pencil, pen, anything you'd like to draw with, and let's draw together. Thinking about how to take some of the exercises and start meditating or leaning into spring, but today is a little rainy and that might be a good start to spring here. So we'll take that as our initial inspiration. Something simple, that little puddle of water that forms and the drops collecting in it over time. There for a moment, but we can record them in the drawing and let them collect together. So we gotta have a simple act to warm up on a little bit of scrap, just of that initial impact, the spread of tension across the surface area as a wave expands out through a few slightly growing layers, a little series of rings reaching outward. They can be clean and perfect circles, or wobbly with the wind and the waves and the interference of others. I'll begin collecting a large series of these. So for the warm-up, paying attention a little bit to the direction you draw, the ways of starting and stopping, which we might find in many circles that kind of get this little pinch or miss to the end. That's something to bring the attention to. One way of drawing might be a little easier to see the start and the end, so it's easier to connect back to the beginning. Starting near to the self allows for seeing, but you can always still miss there. And the goal is not to avoid all misses, but as we draw, find a tempo that lets us come back around to where we started, to move through an increasing field of complexity there. Each drop may have the same number of kind of these pulses reaching out, or perhaps be its own unique zone for exploring density. Take a couple more revolutions with the pen or pencil, just feeling out that motion around. Circle can be tricky for the eyes, tricky for the hand, wanting to keep things exact, feeling even. And in this drawing, letting some of that go a little bit, mostly focusing on beginning and ending, of keeping a pace that feels comfortable and doesn't provide too much friction, seeing where the hand is going. And as the drawing develops, we might find some subtlety in how hard or soft the pen or pencil touch the paper, a way of bringing lightness, a little bit of that quality of water. We'll see what develops there as time enters the space of the paper. And if it also happens to be raining where you are, could take some time here at the beginning to notice some of those sounds, clicking, dripping, dropping. If you are not in a place of rain at the moment, then in the other stillness, hearing the ground, the wind, the leaves, or the quiet around, depending on your space, coming into it for a moment, using that time of presence to check in with the body, with the mind, to perhaps notice anything that might be kinked up, a thought, something in the muscle, something in the position that you're sitting. If there is anything there, to take a deep breath into it and let it drift away on the exhalation. Perhaps take another round of the breath, clear just the sounds around. And as you feel ready, opening to the page, the fresh page in the sketchbook, an open piece of paper, the back of an envelope, anything that can accept a pen or pencil and draw on for a little bit. We're going to build up probably quite a bit of density, so as your hand kind of feels out that territory from corner to corner around the perimeter, just knowing where the shoulder, wrist, and fingers extend to, settling into a comfortable place and beginning, like the warm-up, just defining that first splash or droplets of rain entering into the page and expanding out the ripples, wave, seeing either here the peak or the valley, a line or curve, bringing form or shape to something transient, formed only for a moment. Establishing that first transformation of the surface of the paper. And again, as you feel ready, moving to a new spot, overlapping, fresh, wherever it may be, the density will grow and interact as we work around the paper. And we can begin to use the motion and action of the hand and the body to guide the marking of these circles or regions. Breathing in between each cycle, beginning the drawing somewhere along the exhalation, place that might feel comfortable to you, whether that's right with the start or catching it mid-action. Each ring will be a new kind of experience of that, the small circle with the breath. Slower, that place of impact slightly more densely recorded. Each expanding circle bringing attention to the speed of the exhalation. and the speed of the movement of the hand. We bring them into alignment, that one breath makes one revolution around that empty center of the drop of water merging back into a pool. The near action, focused to a point. The dissipation of action, expanding outwards through a medium. For us, the medium of the paper, ink or graphite, and the medium of our guiding breath. One exhalation, one revolution of the pen or pencil. And as you draw, each cycle of the breath brings with it some presence, some intention of mindfulness to align those two actions. And over time, that focusing in may bring a little fatigue or tension in the mind. Feel free between any cycles to take other breaths to relax that, the moment of focus and deeper presence. Can be balanced with a few moments of release, of calming into the space you're making. As we work with the breath as a guide, we must also give it some space to do what it needs for the body, for that autonomic nervous system to feel at ease, not over-guiding, but repetition and rest together. They're part of exercise. A part of practicing a skill of active relaxation. Of guided mindfulness in the space of drawing. And a few more rounds, perhaps taking some time and quiet just to really focus in on that cycle of breath and fill out some more interactions with the page, build up density from moments. And as the overlap, confrontation between each element begins to grow, more lines, curves intersecting, more interference in the wave patterns. You may begin to notice the distraction, the pull. When am I crossing one curve or another? and a suggestion that the density is reaching a place that will allow us in to new interactions or relationships on the page, perhaps drifting away from the guiding image, drops of water into a puddle over time, a light, spring, rain. And now, observing a map, the territory collapsed into the moment as a place for travel, for wandering, shading. What I see, what you may see, could be different, but I find the inflections from one shape to the next, these crossing intersections, interesting, where the line dives into a corner, then bounces away again. I spend a little time following some of these bounces, giving thickness or emphasis to the line. Change to another pen or pencil if you have one, something heavy, or just work by adding thickness and a little bit of tone. The path guided now by our eye and moments along a curve that bring us interest, look like a good place to stop, go to, or leave from. And in that same vein of presence, as we learn from the curves of our prior moments of breath and relaxation, we can bring that with us, the lightness of the breath, the curve already present for travel, a guide to give us some space to just notice how we've carried some of that fulfilling, oxygenating breath with us to this phase in the drawing. As the hand moves along a path, we can observe the intensity and speed of our natural breathing. Notice the air moving across the nostrils. Notice the air expanding the chest cavity, the torso, the ribs. Notice so much little action in our restful state as the motion of the hand takes some of our attention out of the moment, occupies part of the mind to hopefully open other areas to a few moments of clear attention, clear mind presence. And for each person, that may be a different relationship. Some, the distraction is a helpful emptying. For some, the clarity becomes between moments. First, an act of drawing or marking, traveling along. Next, a reminder of those internal rhythms supporting us. Breath, then retracking an oscillation of foreground and background, and in our practice, noticing the way we oscillate between two worlds, one internal to us, internal thoughts, internal actions, and one external, the place of what we are doing, marking curves on a page, writing an email, making dinner. Both worlds always existing in those moments. And can we be present occasionally in the space between, to check in with ourselves? Are we breathing? Are we holding? Anticipating or releasing into the act? Our presence here and now, becoming perhaps a little bit heavier. Making the space of this moment and we practice a little bit of mindfulness, a little bit of mindful tension, this oscillation between worlds, present in all things. Doesn't always need to be our focus, but by giving it time, a little bit of presence to unfold, giving ourselves a little bit of space to observe, to feel how we interact on the inside and the outside simultaneously. May open up some access to how we engage and how we can bring forth what is needed for the situation. Perhaps a doorway into a space of flow, of action or active thinking. And as you open that door here for whatever is happening in this drawing, taking a few minutes, continuing to follow the new paths, jump around, find new shapes and whatever may be present there on the page, to let those two worlds, inner and outer, merge their waveforms for a minute or two, the breath becoming one with the curve, the movement of the hand guiding the breath, all present in a space. not to interrupt the flow of thoughts or expression or just integration into that combined space. Let those thoughts still play there to dance in the thinking. What was your mind observing, wandering to, or emptying during that time? A little reprieve from purpose or intention before we go back to the day and bring intention to our actions. An oscillation at many scales, looking in, looking out, breathing in, breathing out. Coming to a close with the exercise, making the last few tracings with clear breath that brings the whole body back. Letting the breath make a little sound if you can, if you feel comfortable. The passage of air across the nose or lips, audible. Filling, echoing with waves of sound through the space, displacing air. Awakening other senses. And as your hand comes to rest, filling out a little bit of that space with yourself and exhaling into it, letting the eyes come back around the room to see intersections, booleans, the gaps between the inflections from one groove to the other, to the moments of interference, gathering, guiding, and then shifting to the background. New figures emerge, new enclosed forms, boundaries, intersections, a place to play and think, spending a little time drawing. What do you see there? What do you find in this emergent territory from the space you're producing, your provider, your home, in this space that you're hold for yourself, the breath. Those powerful cycles of presence and release, internal to the functioning of our being. With the movement of the hand, that external expression of your presence here, with a pen, with a page. I hope you're able to find some relaxation, maybe a little inspiration and creativity, or just a little expression out of anything from the inside, and a replenishing in from that space around you as you work through these exercises of mindful practice. If you enjoyed them, please give it a thumbs up below. Let me know in the comments what you found, maybe some suggestions of guiding ideas for where we could go in future exercises, mediums we could explore, things you might be interested in expanding your mind to encompass. New practices come out every week, usually Wednesday morning, so check back, subscribe to the channel if you find it interesting, and I hope to hear from you down below. Wherever this takes you for the rest of the day or evening, I hope it's a nice, calm place where you can open up and let yourself express through the medium of drawing. I thank you for joining, and draw well.